Hi scholars, this is Miss Quiñones, and today is day 2 of our Dia de los Muertos Marigold art project. So if you're looking at what I have on my table right now, this is what we finished on Monday. So if you did not watch Monday's video, if you did not do Monday's assignment yet, then you need to go back, do Monday's assignment first for art. Because if you don't do Monday's assignment, then you can't finish today's assignment. So make sure that you've got that completely done before you watch this video. If you are all ready to begin our coloring in and our blending for our marigold, then I need you to grab your materials. So the first thing that you're going to need to grab is the outline that you made on Monday. And then the second thing that you need to grab are these 3 colors from your colored pencils or your crayons if you used crayons. It doesn't matter what you use, but you need to make sure that you've got an orange with you, a yellow with you, and a red with you. So before we actually get started with our blending and doing everything, we are going to take a sneak peek at what it's going to look like when we're finished. So as you guys can see, this is my marigold. This is what yours will look like when we are all done today. And you can see that I've used all 3 of these colors in every single petal. So every petal has got red down here close to the bottom, like the bottom of the center of the petal. Then we go in with orange, and orange is going to be the main color, so it's going to cover the entire petal. And then on the very, very edge of each petal, we're going to use yellow just to make it stand out and really kind of divide our petals up. So scholars, before we get into all of this, the first thing that I need you to do is to color in the center of your marigold. The center of our marigold is just going to be straight orange. You can see mine is already colored in, but it's just going to be straight orange because orange is the main color for our marigold. It's the main color, which means that it's going to be the one that stands out the most. It's really the one that from far away you want to see the most. I'm just making mine a little bit darker so that I'm all ready to start blending. So scholars, the very first thing you want to do after you finish this is take your red colored pencil or your red color. We're going to start with red because it's going to be the lightest color, and we're going to focus it right here. So whenever we use our red, we're not going to push down hard. We're going to kind of turn our colored pencil or our crayon to the side to be very, very gentle with it. And anytime you are using your red, I want you to stay very close to the bottom of your petal. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you on this one, and take my red and very, very gently, I'm going to just start coloring in the bottom of this petal. You can see my red, it's not very bright. I did a very, very light layer of that red. And I'm going to do that all the way around for all of these petals. If you are ready to start this step, go ahead and grab your red and focus just on the bottom portions of each petal. Remember, your red is not supposed to stand out. Your orange is the one that stands out. So our red, because it's so dark, we really want to go very lightly with it. Now, scholars, blending and getting all of these petals done is probably going to take a long time. That's okay. That's normal. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to pause the video together so that you and I can get these portions done. So scholars, this part of the red, this part of the petal for every single petal is going to be red. So even in my second layer, I'm going to take that red all the way down as close as I can to the center. So you can see for this one where I added the red, I didn't take the red super high because my petal it kind of looks like my petal's getting cut off by the other petals. So what I did is I focused my red very, very close, as close as I could get to the center. And then I just put a little bit of red up here where it looks like my flower's getting cut off. I'm going to do the same thing right here, as I can see that this petal is kind of getting cut off by the one in front of it. So since it's getting cut off by the one in front of it, that means I don't have to add as much red. It means that the center or the bottom of it is kind of getting cut off too, and that's okay. So I'm going to do this last one with you, scholars. And after we get this one done, you and me are going to hit pause on this video. And then when we come back, we're going to have all of the red centers of every single petal, all of these petals completely done. Okay, so I've got all of these done right now. I need to finish all of these blank petals with my red first. We're going to finish everything, we're going to finish using the red before we start using the orange or the yellow or anything else. Okay, scholars? So I want you to go ahead and hit pause to finish your red in 3, 2, 1. Okay, scholars, so now that we have all of the red portions of our marigold finished, we're going to move on to our orange portions. If you still haven't finished all the red portions, just make sure that you're going into every petal, don't leave out any of your petals, and that you're just doing kind of like the bottom portions of those petals. You're not going to reach the top, it's going to look white on the ends like you can see here. If you are ready to move on, I want you to grab your orange colored pencil or crayon. Now the orange, since it's the main color of the marigold, it needs to reach all the way from the bottom to the top of each petal. Now, even though our orange is going to go in every single petal, I still want you to be careful with it, because if you're just going across each petal without being careful, then what you're going to do is you're going to make all of these like nasty lines going across your really pretty outline that you made on Monday. So I want you to keep your outline as clean as you can and just be careful. Take your time going one at a time in each of these petals. The orange, again, is going to go all the way from the bottom, so it's going to cover up that red so that it blends better, and it's going to reach the top, okay? So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. I'm going to grab my orange, and you can see that I'm going over the red portion, and I'm going to go back a few times. We really want the orange to be the thing that stands out. If your red is super duper dark, then your orange is going to have to cover it and be even darker than that. So we can already see how just with this one petal, how the bottom looks a little bit darker because that's where we had the red, and then the top looks lighter because that's where we didn't have anything. So don't be afraid to really get in there. The more that you pile on these colors, the darker they're going to get. So if you pile on way more down here over the red, it's going to make the red really dark. If you pile on a bunch at the top, it's going to make the top really dark. So just be careful. You don't want to go too heavy-handed. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing my petals. If you haven't started your petals yet, grab your orange and begin going across the entire petal with that orange. You also want to make sure that you're not leaving any white spaces at the top. We will go over the top with yellow, but the yellow's not going to go all the way down, so you want to make sure that your orange is still covering those parts that the yellow's not going to cover. Scholars, I know that you can see some of these like white lines that are appearing in mine. That's okay, that's going to happen to me because I have something on the back of my paper. So since I have something on the back, it just means that I'm going to get these white lines. But you probably don't have that problem. If you do have that problem, it's no biggie. The white lines are just going to be there and they're not going to mess up your marigold at all. this process of the orange and the red and the yellow is probably going to take you quite a bit of time, scholars. So if it takes you a lot of time, don't worry about it. If you have other things that you need to get done, it's okay. You can try finishing tomorrow. Just don't forget that you need to finish blending all 3 colors in order to get that pretty zoomed in marigold effect. All right, scholars. So after I finish this petal, we're gonna hit pause again so that you can fill in all of your petals with that orange, and you don't have to wait on me to finish too, okay? So before we hit pause, just remember you're gonna take your orange, you're gonna do every single petal from bottom to top with that orange, and then when you come back, we're gonna move on, okay? So go ahead and hit pause to do your orange in 3, 2, 1. Okay, scholars, so now if you can see what is on your screens, you can see that I have filled in every single one of my petals with that orange. And if you are looking pretty closely, you can see how that red from earlier blends into the orange that we added. So when you're looking at these petals out here, even though they look mostly orange, the longer and the closer you look at it, you can see that they get darker as they go inside, and that's the kind of effect that we want out of it. So scholars, now if you've got all of your orange fixed into your petals, then you're going to take this yellow. Yellow is basically the last step in fixing our marigolds, and we're going to do something similar to what we did on Monday. So on Monday, what we did is we just went around the edges with that yellow. We're going to do something very similar because we're just going to color in or blend the edges of each petal with a little bit of yellow. And what this is going to do is really, really bring out the edges of each petal. So it's kind of going to highlight that outline that you made of the petals on Monday, okay? It's a little bit hard to see it on my camera because I've got some really, really bright lights on, but it'll be easier to see on your work where exactly that yellow is going and how it's going to make everything pop at the end. And remember, scholars, this yellow is going to also go on every single petal. So if you can see what I'm doing with my yellow, I'm starting from the top. I'm not starting from the bottom anymore. I'm starting from the top, the very edge of the petal, and I'm just going gently, like I did with my red and my orange, and really filling in the end of that petal to make the end of it pop a little bit brighter. Also, scholars, remember that when we finish this, like all this blending, you are going to have all of this white space ready around you. So if you wanted to, you could add different things about Dia de los Muertos, or you could add maybe a background that really inspires you. You can do whatever you want with this extra space. That is completely, completely up to you. If you wanted to make even more marigolds, you would just follow the same process with all the coloring and the outlining, but you maybe make them smaller on the outside to decorate. Also, scholars, if you would really, really like to, what you can do is if you have paint or you have markers or something else like that at home, you can try doing this again with a different kind of material. So you could try doing this with paint. I know some of us have done that in my class before. You could try doing this with crayons if you didn't use crayons this time. You could try doing this with paper or watercolors. It's really up to you if you want to try this again or if there's something that you want to try with this. So right now, scholars, all I did was I did the very, very last one with yellow. You are going to do every single petal, just like we've been doing throughout the entire video. You're going to do every single petal with the edges with that yellow. Okay, scholars, by the end of it, remember you are going to have something closer to this. So you can see how in this one, I really made the yellow stand out. So your yellow can be even brighter than we just made. I really made the yellow stand out on this one because I wanted it to really highlight the edges. If you don't want it to stand out so much, it would look something closer to this, where it's just like a gentle, very soft highlight. It's up to you on how you want that highlight to go, but don't forget that you've got to cover every petal like I did in this one. Okay, scholars? At the end, when you are 100% done with your red, your orange, and your yellow blending, what I want you to do is take a picture or take a video of what you've done and attach that in Google Classroom or in Flipgrid, scholars, okay? Even if you're not done with your background, even if you're not 100% done with all of your blending, or even if you want to try again, just show me what you have got by the end of the week so that I know that you are working on it. Okay, scholars? You can always turn it into Google Classroom or into Flipgrid just like normal. Okay? I'm really excited to see how your guys' marigolds turn out. I'll see you guys later. Bye.